You ever look around at all the cultural shifts happening? The way values are changing, traditions are kind of falling apart, and just wonder, is there a plan here? What's the end game? It's a really big question, and it's one we're diving into today.
And really, that's the heart of what we're looking at. If all this cultural drift is clearing the ground, you have to ask, what's it being cleared for? Now, according to the theological framework we're exploring, this isn't just random chaos. It's actually a very deliberate preparation for something else.
So, what's the strategy here? Well, it's not some big, flashy frontal assault. No, it's way more subtle than that. It's a long, slow game, a kind of philosophical erosion. The goal is to get humanity to just forget. Forget where we came from, forget foundational truths. Think of it less like a sudden lightning strike and more like the tide, just slowly, patiently washing away the shoreline, over decades, even centuries. And at the absolute core of this strategy is this huge philosophical trade. It's like a swap. On one side, you've got the idea of God-given absolute truth, things that are always true, moral constants, right? But on the other side, you have man-made subjective relativism. Basically, truth is whatever feels right to you right now. It's all about personal feelings and material comfort. The whole point is to get us to trade that solid anchor of absolute truth for the shifting currents of whatever feels good. Okay, so that brings us to the big question. What's the end game? Why go to all this trouble? All this ground clearing, this slow erosion of truth? It's all pointing to one single ultimate goal. And it's something the enemy has apparently been obsessed with from the very beginning: getting worshipped. And who exactly is supposed to be the focus of all this worship? Well, at the center of it all is a figure prophesied in the book of Revelation. You've probably heard the names: the Beast or the Antichrist. And we're not just talking about some powerful politician here. This figure is meant to be the living, breathing embodiment of rebellion against God. And he's going to rise up and demand total adoration from everyone on the planet. And get this isn't going to be optional. This system is described as being completely all-encompassing. It's not a suggestion to worship this guy. It's an order, and it's enforced with absolute economic control. I mean, this famous passage from Revelation says you won't be able to buy or sell anything unless you have the mark. Think about that. Your ability to get food, to have a home, your very survival depends on your allegiance. So the question is, how could something like that even be possible on a global scale? I mean, it sounds pretty far-fetched. Well, for that kind of control, you would need a serious infrastructure, right? A practical, worldwide system to make that kind of coercion a reality. And the prophecy actually lays out a kind of four-step path for how this happens. First, a single global system has to rise up. That sets the stage. Then, a super charismatic figure called the false prophet shows up and apparently deceives the entire world with amazing signs. His whole job is to act like a PR guy, funneling all that wonder and adoration toward the main figure, the beast. And finally, that's when the economic hammer drops. The mark is rolled out to enforce compliance from everyone. All right, so this is where we bring it all back to where we started, those cultural shifts. In this theological view, the slow decline of distinct nations, of foundational values, that's no accident. It's seen as the necessary prep work. It's tilling the soil for this final, massive global deception. And this decline creates the perfect storm, really. It has three major consequences that make a society incredibly vulnerable. For one, if you throw out the very idea of absolute truth, how can you possibly recognize a great lie when you see one? Your moral compass is just gone. Second, as individual nations become less important, the idea of a single, central, global power doesn't seem so strange anymore. It starts to sound plausible, even logical. And third, and this is a big one, when your highest goal in life is just comfort and getting more stuff, you become a sitting duck for economic blackmail. But here's the thing. This worldwide system of control, this grand deception, according to the source material, it's not the end of the story. Not even close. It's just a temporary thing. And its reign is prophesied to have a very, very decisive end. So this timeline shows you the final sequence of events. The Antichrist system goes to war against anyone who resists. But its time and power is cut short dramatically by the physical, glorious return of Jesus Christ. And in that moment, it's game over. The leaders of this rebellion, the beast and the false prophet, are defeated. And it all leads up to the final judgment, where the enemy behind it all is cast into the lake of fire for good.
So, the bottom line from this prophetic viewpoint is crystal clear. The enemy's grand, centuries-long plan to finally get the worship he's always wanted, it's destined to be a total cosmic failure. The final victory isn't up for debate. It's described as absolute and completely indisputable.
And that really leaves us with one last thing to think about. If the world really is being prepared for a grand deception, what does that say about the value of absolute truth? It kind of suggests that holding on to something solid, something unchanging, isn't just a philosophical exercise. It might just be the most important anchor you can have in a world that's drifting further and further into illusion.